On this episode of Locked On Angels, the Halos get swept? Am I reading that right? Against the A's, they sweep them last week, and then they give all of those wins back. They looked awful while it happened. So what happened and what happens next? We're going to talk about that. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, it is, and yes, we are. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all this Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's really one of the best ways to get in touch with John and I and be a part of the conversation. And today's episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan in any city, including your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today.
Happy Friday to you, and thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
It's our third season here at Locked On Angels. We're talking Angels baseball Monday through Friday, and we hope you had a great 4th of July. We got to hang out at our brother's house and have ourselves a good time. There's two other Super Halo Bros, by the way, in case you didn't know. And we had ourselves a great time. Got in the pool. Good times, everybody. On today's show, we're going to recap that game in Oakland. The Angels were swept. And then we're going to get to your questions for Fanmail Friday. There are 2 segments of questions that we're excited to get to. But Mike, have we all come back down to earth now? Have we all, I mean, all of us, I'm wearing my Rocket City Trash Pandas, you know, that not ironically, but let's just, I think we deserved this after last week when we said we're going to the World Series after beating the A's and the Tigers, right? I think it's good that we have come back down to earth. Not fun, but certainly necessary, right?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts on that. Let's talk about the game for a moment. 5-0, they lost. The Angels have not scored in 18 consecutive innings, Johnny. They managed only 4 hits. They struck out 11 times. They only got 3 runners in scoring position. None of them came through, obviously. No. Contreras started 2 2/3. He walked 3 batters. Bullpen wasn't bad in this game, so let's give them their flowers. But the defense was not great, and there was an error, but then there was a lot of just miscues. Now, the only thing that was great was Kevin Pillar in center field.
Yeah, no kidding.
Leap over the wall to make the catch, to take a home run back, which was, I think, better than Mike Trout's leap in Baltimore. I mean, this one was turned all the way around, glove over the wall, came back down with all sorts of just coolness as he came back down and made that catch. And then later on in the game had a diving catch in center field. This game probably would have been 9-0 if Kevin Pillar wasn't starting in center field, because he saved a lot of runs just with those 2 plays, didn't he, John?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to see him doing what he does out there. 35 years old, same age as me. And I don't think I could have done that at 25. So props to you, Kevin Pillar. Mike, recently Ohapi was on Foul Territory, and he was asked about how he takes a loss like this or just losing in general. He shared that he tries not to get as angry anymore, but learn from those losses. Now, what can they learn from this awful, terrible series they had in Oakland where they haven't scored in 18 innings? What do you say?
Yeah. They can learn that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be angry about this series because, and I get what he's trying to say, because I know that he's wearing every loss and that it's frustrating. I understand that completely. But I think in this instance, they need to get angry with themselves. And you joked about it on Twitter a couple of days ago, but like a closed door meeting is coming again, right? And I know that they have those school meetings where they talk about certain things, but there's a lot that I think that needs to be addressed with this team. And we'll get into some of the details in the next 2 segments, but quite honestly, consistency is something that this team just completely lacks. They just don't have it, John. They don't have that ability to show up and do the same things in the same way every single game. And a perfect example of that is Jo Adell and his swing. He had a great swing for a stretch of the time of the season. Yeah. And then to start the season, and now he's swinging long and he's back to his dumb old long swing that doesn't help him at all.
You can't even foul off that strike 3 call on the corner because he's swinging so long
Yeah.
and slow at it that he can't catch up to. I mean, look, you got to foul that off. You're gonna ground out if you hit that. So I'm not saying he needs to hit it. What I'm saying is you got to be able to foul that off, and he can't even do that right now. And so he's swinging through that pitch low and away, and he's chasing. And look, the problem is that one was in the zone. But even if it wasn't in the zone, I think he would have gone fishing for it anyway. Then he had Taylor Ward in left field, miscue out there with the ball rolling under his glove, and just so many issues going around the field. And then Ronci Contreras, 2 2/3 with 3 walks. Mike, he was supposed to be able to go 85 pitches yesterday. Yeah. And that's certainly not the case. And he wasn't able to get out of that 3rd inning. And it looked like things were off to a good start. Now, like you said, the bullpen wasn't bad. They pretty much held things down. But, they got lucky with an overturned call at first base when Drury snuck over there and got the runner out because it was a bunt attempt. And Matt Moore and Nolan Shawnuel both go for it when, I don't know, it was clearly Matt Moore's baseball to me.
Yeah.
Shawnuel was just kind of standing there at the end of the play. But it just, the fundamentals seem to have gone out the window during this stretch. And Ron Washington actually had something to say about the way the guys have been playing. 2 days, 18 innings. We don't put a run on the board. Wash said, I really didn't think JP Sears was all that. He made pitches when he had to. The Halos look tired. It takes a lot out of you to win. It really does. And they haven't understood that yet. So interesting comment there. It takes a lot out of you to win the way that they've been winning. But then there's something to be said about it remaining sustainable and not exhausting yourself over the 6-game win streak that they had. But here we are a week later, can't even beat the same team that they swept last week. Remember how I said, so many people will say, well, it's the A's, you should beat them.
Yeah.
Well,
this way.
Yeah. Well, people tell their team or their fans, well, it's the Angels, you should sweep them.
Yeah.
This is why. And the fact that they weren't able to even mount one win after sweeping this very same team and a lot of the same pitchers that they faced last week, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter if it's the A's or not. The Angels are more than capable of having a series like this. And so I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this idea that winning makes you tired. What do you say?
Well, there's a difference between exhaustion and burnout. And the difference is burnout is more emotion and there's really a symptom that's deep within you, and you're throwing all of that onto the job that you're doing. When you're exhausted, it means that you are doing a great job and you have really stepped up and made the decisions. And in this case, the plays, the strategy, you've done what you've needed to do. So if you're winning, yes, it is exhausting. I think that these guys, I think there's a lot going on in their hearts and in their minds. I think there's a lot going. I think it's more burnout than it is exhaustion, to be honest with you, John. And here's why. You just mentioned it. And then you also mentioned it on yesterday's show. There was a pop-up Matt Theis watched Nolan Shawnuel go and get. And he just literally watched him. And then in that bunt attempt, both him and Matt Moore go for the bunt. And then Shawnuel just kind of observes the play.
Yeah, he gets down so that Matt Moore can make it. But at that point, it's too late.
Right.
You're standing next to Matt Moore.
You're stuck, right?
Yeah.
And so nobody's covering first. Like, you're in a bad position there. It's those things where I think that their brain is moving faster than their body is. And I have this issue on the podcast. My words move faster than my brain is really computing.
Not you.
Right?
Not you.
It happens all the time. I talk way too fast, right? And I think for the Angels, it's similar. Their bodies are moving faster than their brain. That's what I meant to say. They're wanting to do it, but they're not thinking through the fundamentals. They're not thinking through where this is going. That baseball IQ is growing, and you've seen what happens when their IQ is top-notch terrific, when it's working really well. But what we saw in this series, especially the last 2 games, is that they just almost put their baseball IQ aside and went out there and they're burned out. I think the exhaustion is something that can be solved. The burnout is something that just is going to continue to have to be pounded into them. They need to have the fundamentals down. They need to be aware at all moments. And Ron, if they're tired, then give them a day off. And by the way, 3 of the starters were out of the lineup 2 days ago. So quite honestly, that feels kind of like a silly comment to me. And they
Yeah.
also had a day off before this series. And so I get baseball is a grind. I get that there's a lot that goes into it. Totally understand that. Maybe I'm just asking for so much more from these guys, but honestly, it's little fundamental things, consistent things, baseball IQ things that there are streaks where they do really well, and then there are streaks where it's like, come on,
Yeah.
why
Really?
couldn't you have done that, right?
Yeah. You look at something like last week when they played great baseball against the A's and the Tigers, and it's more than just they beat bad teams, right? Because to me, last week there were a lot of situations where they could have lost the game, or they could have lost the lead, or they could have given up that extra run. But they were playing smart, fundamental baseball. They were making great baseball decisions, decisions to throw home, or just great plays at shortstop for Zach Neto. So when he says that they look tired, I mean, I don't disagree. Like, they look like they were all asleep at the wheel, Mike. They couldn't string hits together. They couldn't deliver with runners in scoring position. They let JP Sears walk all over them when he's not a great pitcher.
Right.
The Angels have a great splits against lefties, and JP Sears just walked all over them. So to me, there is some truth to that, but I don't think it's a cop-out for, look what you just did a week ago.
Yeah.
Like, where'd that go? And how, this is what I'm trying to get at. How do you go from what you did last week against the same team? Now, I know they're visitors. I know it's a different situation. I know right? But how do you go from doing what you did to the same team last week to doing what you did against them this week?
Right.
That's where you have to find the cohesion and the connectedness there. So when people pile on Ron Washington, he's overrated, he's done this, he's done that, don't tell me that, because I just got through watching those two series against the A's and the Tigers, and not because they beat up on the Tigers and they poured the runs on and they outslugged them. No, they played smart baseball last week. They played fundamental baseball last week. Now, a week later, it all went out the window. And so that's the answer that they're going to have to find. They're going to have to answer that question. What changes between last week and this week? I don't know that it's tiredness, in Ron Washington's opinion.
Yeah.
It just looked like everybody was asleep at the wheel, in my opinion. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels are playing the Cubs, 11:20 Pacific time. Griffin Canning is starting. They're going to be at Wrigley Field. Man, there was a big part of me that was like, man, I'd really like to go watch those games, because it'd be a lot of fun to be in Chicago and check out those games against the Cubs. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, what is causing the Halos to be so streaky, and is there a solution? And is his name Mike Trout? We're going to talk about all of that coming right up.
This episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by our new everydayers, Booking.com. When it's time to travel and explore the United States, there's all sorts of cities that I know that you want to find and you want to look at and you want to go and discover. I know that there's some in my heart and some in John's heart, but you don't want to do it on your own. That's why you need to let our new friends, Booking.com, help you plan out that adventure with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, so much more. You can find the perfect stay with Booking.com. And even if your travels are focused on following the Angels, like perhaps you are going to head to Chicago and watch them play the Cubs. Wherever you're at, Booking.com has got you covered, from hotels that overlook the stadiums to family-friendly resorts. Booking.com has so many choices across the United States for your summer travel plans. I always wanted to stay in the buildings just behind Wrigley Field. I remember as a kid watching it on WGN going, oh, that would be so cool to be right there. And then you feel like you're kind of cheating a bit because you didn't pay, but you're still watching the game and you could still see. I always wanted to do that. Maybe my friends at Booking.com can help me out with that. Take all the guesswork out of your travel. Book today on the site or the app. Booking.com, booking.yeah. And Locked On Angels is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy. Pay attention, Angels. And it also keeps your car, truck, or SUV on the road. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. With over 122 million parts for your auto, you can find exactly what you're looking for at ebaymotors.com. And then they've got the eBay Guarantee Fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, they don't want you burning cash. They want you burning rubber. Thank you guys. We appreciate that so much. With all the parts that you need at the prices that you want, it's easy to turn your car, truck, or SUV into the MVP that you want and bring home that win. So keep your car, your truck, or your SUV alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. The eBay Guarantee Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And everydayers, if you're looking for a new sports fix 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you got to check out Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program just for you to bring you the biggest stories across the sports world. Brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, news, all that good stuff. It's streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Speaking of your team, the Angels are playing the Cubs. 11:20 Pacific time. It's an early one, so make sure you set your alarm for that one. And if you want to catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast, you can do so with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Let's talk about this streaky team, John, because our everydayers are wondering about this streaky team. So why don't we go to the voicemail line?
Let's do it.
Hey, Super Halo Bros. My name is Evan. I'm calling from Rochester, New York. Love listening to you guys on my commute to work in the morning. Question for you guys. What do you think is leading to this Halo team's streakiness? They go on really hot streaks and then they turn out to be losing 4 or 5 games in a row. And what makes us not commit to the players that we're rallying behind? Let me know what you guys think. Thanks. Bye.
Evan in Rochester, New York. Thanks for listening to us every single day on your way to work, Mike, my friend Mike. Why are the Angels so streaky? Why do they win 4 or 5, lose 4 or 5 in a row? Why can't they just maintain some consistency here? What do you think?
It's immaturity. It's baseball IQ and it's immaturity. And it's these guys recognizing what it takes to actually win. Now, here's where I want to give them some credit. Shonawell and Zach Neto are so fresh to Major League Baseball.
Right.
And they have not played a full season like this ever in their lives.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with Logan O'Hoppe. Logan O'Hoppe's been in the minor leagues for just a couple of stints before he was traded over to the Halos. So these guys are not just learning how to be Major League Baseball players at the Major League level. They're also learning about the grind of 162 games. And so a lot of that is playing into that. That's not an excuse for these guys. That's just the reality of what happens when you're learning at the Major League level. And that's why I think we're seeing the streakiness, because it's going to pop for them. And as they get more mature, you're going to see more of that pop. You're going to see more of those things click. This is the season for them to try to figure out how to continue to lean into that. And I think Wash is the manager that can help them lean into that. But this is why I think we're seeing this 6-game winning streak and now a 4-game losing streak, because this team is learning how to win, learning how to be ball players, learning how to be consistent over a long period of time, and learning about their bodies and how they react to that stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of factors into that, but those are just some of my thoughts.
Yeah, there's to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, you look at things like Zach Neto being told, hey, be selective with your leg kick at the beginning of the season in spring training. He comes into the season, he's doing it more than he should. He's not being selective. He recognizes that. And suddenly, hey, he's doing pretty good up at the plate.
Right.
Jo Adell, we talked about it ad nauseum here. Short, compact swing. Looks like Mike Trout when he was up there back in April. That's why he had such a huge April that he did. And he's back to falling into the old habits that have been, quite frankly, drilled into him, Mike. I mean, what coaching other than, scattered minor league coaching up and down the system has he had some consistency in? Because when you come up to the majors, think about, how many different batting coaches have been here in the times that he's been up here. And now he's got his third batting coach in Johnny Washington trying to help him out. I think the same thing with Mickey Moniak. He goes on these streaks where he looks really good. Then suddenly he's swinging at ball 1 at the top of the zone again and swinging through it. So it's just a matter of these guys fall into these habits that I think, like you said, is a lack of maturity, a lack of recognizing what works and what doesn't. And you just, quite frankly, physically you fall into old habits sometimes. And I don't know what it takes to drill those out of you, but whatever they need to do to get Jo Adell back to a compact swing, to get Mickey Moniak to not swing at ball one above the zone. Maybe you just tell Moniak, hey, you're not swinging on pitch number one. I don't care if it's in the zone. You are not swinging, right? It's stuff like that. And that's the level of where this team is right now. Because look, they're, for the most part, they're all under age 25. The guys that we're looking forward to as the future of this team are just young guys who didn't develop in the Angels minor league system the way that most minor league guys develop. They were rushed to the majors. Jo Adell was rushed in 2020 to the majors. And yes, he's had stints up and down, but the fact is all of these guys are really, truly, definitively dealing with their first real full season. And so I think that consistency will come. And you're right. It's the travel schedule. It's being a major leaguer. It's, the team success is your own success. That's a lot to wear on your shoulders. And I think that has a lot to do with it. Mike, we got another voicemail here from Chris, and he said he's in Big Orange Country. There you go. Let's go to that voicemail right now.
Hey guys, this is Chris from the Big Orange Country. Angels fan since birth. Big fan of the podcast, guys. So my question is, do you guys think that when Mike Trout comes back, are we going to have more winning streaks? Please let me know, guys. Thank you. Big fan.
Chris in Big Orange Country, thanks for your voicemail, my friend. Mike, before I forget, I want to kick it to you, but I just have a thought about this and what I just got done saying about the young guys. I think Mike Trout brings that consistency to the team. I think that he's not just as a player on the field, but as a player in the locker room and traveling with the team. I think he can be the level-headed one that helps keep these guys' heads on their shoulders as they learn how to be big leaguers this year. Who better to learn from than Mike Trout? This is the moment where you have a guy like Kevin Pillar or Mike Trout or somebody guiding these guys along and saying, hey, don't lose your head. This is a grind. This is how it goes sometimes. And so they've all been there with their experience. And I think when Trout gets back, I don't know about win streaks, but I think that he will help bring some cohesion to the locker room behind the scenes. Now, on the field, I have some thoughts about that, but let me kick it to you. What do you say?
There's a phrase that we use in the organization that I work at, working in it and working on it. Now, Mike Trout is going to be somebody right now who's working on it, and he could help the other guys work on it. But what he gains when he comes back is that he's working in it. He's going to be sweating with them, losing with them, and winning with them. And so I do think that Trout does bring a bit of energy, a bit of focus, a bit of consistency. I mean, Wash had to tell him in spring training, like, I need you to cool it just a bit because these guys are trying to keep up with you and they're not ready to keep up with you yet. Right. And so that's the thing that I think Trout brings. Do they lose 3 in a row, 4 in a row like they did with Trout on this team? I mean, they've done it in the past. Right. Yeah. But I think that with Mike Trout back in this lineup, I think that what they gain is a longer lineup. What they gain is somebody who is going to be a bit more consistent for them. What they gain is somebody who is able to make adjustments in the field, but also at the plate. And he has proven that. You've given some stats on this pod about that. And I think that that impacts these players in a really significant way.
Yeah, he's the king of adjustments. And so if anybody's going to be able to be around these guys, like you said, in it with them, he's somebody that can say, hey, Joe, remember what you were doing in April? Let's get back to that. And yeah, that should be the hitting coach's job. That should be the coaching staff's job. And by all accounts, they're working with these guys. They're trying to get these guys back to it. But sometimes maybe you just need somebody like Mike Trout to help you get there. As far as more winning streaks, I mean, look, they'll probably string together 1, maybe 2 more wins than they might usually do if it's, 4 or 5 every now and then, 3 or 4 every now and then. But I also think they're just as capable as losing 2 or 3 or 4, like you said, like they did with Mike Trout on this team. So in terms of wins and losses and plays on the field, it's always going to be a good thing to have Mike Trout on the field, right? But I think the big benefit here is Mike Trout bringing some consistency to this team and helping these young guys through their first full major league season.
One of the best news about us celebrating the 4th of July is that tax season was 2 months prior to that. Like we
That's
were
right.
over, we were done. April 15th had passed. But I also know that there are some everydayers that are still dealing with tax issues. Maybe you're somebody who is working in a specific way and you have to file in another specific way. Got to be very thoughtful and strategic about that. And if you mess up, you get in trouble. If the government or IRS messes up, it's not a big deal, right? And so that's why you need the experts of Tax Network USA to go to bat for you. They got over 14 years of experience. They got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they've saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. So whether you owe taxes, or maybe you have really complicated matters, or you have some extra cash and you're just not sure what to do with that and how you should file that, hit up our friends, our new everydayers at Tax Network USA. Here's the phone number that you can call, 1-800-549-1000, or visit them at their website, tnusa.com/lockedon. And Locked On Angels is brought to you by our friends at Ibotta. Of course, it's summertime, which means it's barbecue season. You got to be outside maybe with a shirt off or maybe with like misters on or something like that because it's so hot right now. But it is a perfect time to barbecue. And here's what's great is you don't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs when you have Ibotta. With Ibotta, you can purchase whatever you want to purchase, and then you can actually watch your cash back grow with every one of those purchases. This is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items at grocery stores, even beauty supplies, and even those extracurricular activities. Maybe you're buying some toys, you're buying some fun things for you and the kids. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover an entire shopping trip. You could buy a cheap flight. Maybe you could go out to dinner and have a great time and not have to barbecue, whatever your desire is. With other apps, they give you points. They don't really add up to much. But with Ibotta, you just add your offers in the app, you upload your receipt, and you get real cash in real time to your bank account or PayPal account, or they even give you gift cards. And with over 50 million savers that are earning cash back, you can join them and you can use Ibotta with over 2,700 brands. So right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners to Locked On Angels $5 just for trying the app. So you can't beat that. Download it right now. Go to use our promo code Locked On MLB when you register. That way they know you came from Locked On Angels. You go to the App Store, Google Play Store, download the Ibotta app. It's IBOTTA in the Google Play Store or App Store, and use our promo code Locked On MLB.
Mike, we got a few more voicemails to get to. Let's get to our next one right now.
Good morning, Halo Brothers. It's Norm in Arizona, and I'm calling about something that I brought up last year about Jo Adell. I wrote in that I thought he could be our Garcia of Texas, and his numbers, John, since you're the numbers guy, his numbers at bats per home run are very, very similar. Unfortunately, so are his strikeouts. But if we can get his average up, I just really see him as somebody that we move forward and build around. Ohapi and Neto and the others, but I think Joe might be a hidden talent. His defense has gone up tremendously. Anyway, just for your information, watch you guys every morning. Have a great day, and go Angels.
Norm in Arizona, thanks for watching us every morning, my friend. Mike, I love what he had to say because we did a segment on this before. Jo Adell could be like Adolis Garcia. And so I got some numbers here that make some good comparisons. Do you want to start us out with those?
Yeah, I love that. First of all, he said, John, I know you're the numbers guy.
Yes.
so I love that.
I love it.
So thank you for these numbers. So here's a comparison between Adell and Garcia. Garcia had his first full season in 2021, 149 games. He was 28 years old, 243 average, 31 home runs, 5% home run percentage, and a 31.2% K rate. So far, Jo Adell is in what we would call his first full real season, right? In 2024.
Real full season. That's actually going to be a full MLB season, right?
Right. 77 games, 25 years old, batting 189, 13 home runs, a 5.1 home run percentage, and a 29.6 K rate. So just for comparison, Garcia's first season, 5% home run percentage and a 31.2 K rate. Right now, Jo Adell, 5.1 home run percentage and a 29.6 K rate.
Now, Jo Adell has the age advantage on Adolis Garcia. He started really playing full-time at age 28. Adell is 25. Now, Garcia does hit the ball a little bit harder than Adell, Mike. At the moment, the average exit velo for both guys this year, Garcia's at 91.3 miles per hour. Jo Adell is 89.6 miles per hour. Now, their hard hit percentage, so everything that's hard hit and above for both of them in this season, Garcia is at 47.5%. Adell is at 44.3%. So a couple takeaways here. Garcia's averaging 5% home run rate over his career, in particular 2021 to 24. That's when he really started hitting it big with the Rangers. Jo Adell in 23 and 24 is also averaging a 5% home run rate. Now, the difference here is Garcia has 341 plate appearances this year. Adell has 257. So Garcia has almost 100 more plate appearances. That actually means that his home run percentage is higher than Jo Adell's when you consider how many more at-bats he's had versus Jo Adell. So the 5 and the 5 can be a little deceiving, but I think it makes sense in light of the fact that Garcia does hit a little bit harder than Jo Adell. Now, if Jo Adell can be a 240 hitter with 30 home runs and maybe keep that K percentage under 30 like he's doing this year, I think he could end up being a similar guy to Garcia. And Joe has the benefit of being under team control until age 28, which, again, is the age that Garcia really first started getting going. So I think that there's something to be said about the fact that Jo Adell, maybe his ceiling is that not a high average guy, but he's going to hit for power, and it's going to be a beautiful thing when he does and develops. And I think he's still got plenty of chances and plenty of room to grow because the Angels aren't going anywhere this season, Mike. So let's let him do his thing. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that his short, compact swing would actually help with some of those numbers with his exit velocity and his hard hit percentage, because you're not wasting so much time to get to the ball. You're getting right to the ball. George Brett, where are you?
Yeah.
Jo Adell needs you.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, let's go to Thomas in Barstow.
Hi, Super Halo Brothers. My name's Thomas, calling from Barstow, California. My question is, do you think we can probably turn around this Angels just the run and feel like we can turn that run around after the All-Star game? Thank you, guys. I listen to you guys every day. Thank you guys so much.
Thomas from Barstow, thanks for giving us a call, my friend. Was he nervous to talk to the Super Halo Bros, Mike? Is that what happened here?
I think maybe he's more frustrated that they haven't done well the last couple of games. He wants them to go on a run, and so do I. I think the run that they're going to go on, John, needs to be a run of development and continue to grow in their baseball IQ. That will translate to wins. It will. But that's what I want to see from them. I want to see the quick hands. I want to see the right person covering the bag. I want to see that on a regular basis and not just in streaky moments. So that's the run that I would love to see them go on as they lead into the All-Star break and afterwards.
Okay, you took it to like a philosophical level. I'm going to keep it straight at, hey, are they going to rattle off like some good win streaks here? Well, look, I know that they have the easiest schedule from here on out. But you know who was part of that easiest schedule? Was this Oakland A's team.
Right.
And they got swept. So that's what I'm saying is any team can beat any other team on any given day at any given time. And so I know that they have an easy schedule. I know that it looks salivating. I think it looks tempting. But at the end of the day, these guys really have to step up and beat those teams. And they are just as capable of getting swept by those teams. So I don't imagine there's going to be any kind of run that gets us anywhere near contention at all. And that's okay, because we need this trade deadline to sell off the pieces that they need to sell off and rebuild and restock. Get some guys who are ready now. Get some guys that you can count on in a year or two or three. But I think that would be the ultimate benefit to the Angels if they do that. As far as a run goes, Thomas, it's not going to happen this season, and that's okay. I think that we can all be okay with that because it will set them up for more success down the road with the guys that we're ready to count on in 2025, 26, all those guys, Neto, Shawnoel, Ohapi, all those guys that we want to count on. Let's bring in reinforcements and help make this team better from here on out.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels play the Cubs at 11:20 Pacific time today, and you can catch every pitch of the Angels' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening to today's show, come on over to YouTube, get in the comment section, hit that like button on the way down there, hit that subscribe button on the way down. Mike, what do we have on deck for Monday's show?
We're going to recap the Angels winning 2 out of 3 against the Cubs this weekend. I'm just speaking it into existence. The sweep of the Cubs this weekend was so great, right? I hope that it's a great weekend. We're going to recap each of the game in detail on Monday on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that. We hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.
When Rain Randazzo is not on the broadcast, you notice because he's so good.
That's why we got swept.